The attic stairs groaned like a dying man as I ascended, each step coated in a film of dust that puffed into the stale, stagnant air. The single bare bulb dangling above cast a sickly yellow light, barely piercing the shadows that clung to the corners of the room. It smelled of mothballs, decaying wood, and something else. Something vaguely metallic, like old blood. I'd been putting it off for weeks. Grandma's death had been sudden, unexpected, and now this task fell to me. Sorting through the accumulated junk of her life, I told myself I was looking for valuables, things I could sell to help with the funeral expenses. But deep down, I knew I was searching for something else. Something I couldn't name. The attic was a chaotic jumble of forgotten memories. Furniture shrouded in white sheets loomed like ghosts. Boxes overflowed with yellowed photographs. Brittle letters tied with faded ribbon. And porcelain dolls with vacant eyes that seemed to follow me as I moved. The air grew colder with each step further into the room. I began rummaging through a trunk tucked away in the furthest corner. Inside, I found a collection of Grandma's old clothes. Flapper dresses from the roaring 20s. Wartime uniforms from the 40s. Vibrant floral patterns from the 60s. Each garment held a faint trace of her perfume. A scent that both comforted and unnerved me. Beneath the clothes, I discovered a wooden box, intricately carved with images of swirling vines and grotesque faces. It was locked. A wave of unease washed over me, a primal instinct screaming at me to leave the box undisturbed. But curiosity, a fatal flaw in my character, compelled me to find a way in. After several attempts with various keys from around the house, I finally managed to force the lock. The box creaked open, releasing a musty odor that stung my nostrils. Inside, nestled on a bed of crimson velvet, was a single object, a small, antique music box. It was made of dark, polished wood, inlaid with silver filigree. On the lid, a tiny ballerina stood frozen mid-pirouette. Hesitantly, I wound the key. A tinkling melody filled the attic, a haunting, childlike tune that sent shivers down my spine. As the music played, the ballerina began to spin, her porcelain face eerily lifelike. The shadows around me seemed to deepen, to press in closer, and the air grew heavy with a sense of dread. I watched, mesmerized, as the ballerina twirled. The music grew faster, more frantic, and the ballerina spun with increasing speed, her movements becoming jerky and unnatural. The light flickered violently, threatening to plunge the attic into complete darkness. Suddenly, the music stopped abruptly. The ballerina froze, her arm outstretched, her painted eyes staring directly at me. In the silence that followed, I heard a faint scratching sound coming from inside the box. I peered closer, my heart pounding in my chest. The scratching grew louder, more insistent, and then, I saw it. A tiny crack had appeared on the ballerina's face, spider webbing across her porcelain skin. From within the crack, a dark, viscous liquid began to ooze. It wasn't oil, it was blood. The scratching intensified, evolving into a frantic, desperate clawing. I stumbled backward, knocking over a stack of boxes. They crashed to the floor, scattering their contents around me. More dolls, more photographs, more letters. And then I saw it, lying amongst the debris. A faded photograph, creased and torn, showed a young woman standing in front of a house that looked eerily familiar. It was Grandma, but she looked different, younger, more vibrant. And next to her, in the corner of the photograph, barely visible in the shadows, was a small girl, with a music box. The scratching from inside the box reached a fever pitch. I screamed, a primal sound of terror, and slammed the lid shut. The music box trembled in my hands, vibrating with an unnatural energy. I wanted to throw it, to smash it to pieces, but I was paralyzed with fear. As I stood there,